Imagine waking up with no alarm, no job, no school, no messages, and no clock telling you what your day is supposed to become. At first, that sounds peaceful. No deadlines, no traffic, no boss, no inbox, just open time waiting for you. But now, remove heating, supermarkets, medicine, walls, electricity, clean taps, and the small glowing screen that tells you everything. Suddenly, a free day does not feel free anymore. It feels wide, silent, cold, and a little dangerous. This is where we return to the Ice Age, long before offices, calendars, money, or weekends divided human life into boxes. For Ice Age humans, sunrise was not the start of a workday, it was the start of another survival calculation. The first question was not, "What time is it?" The first question was, "Is everyone still alive and warm?" A small group wakes near a cave, wrapped in rough hides, with cold air pressing against the edge of the firelight. Outside the camp, snow and frozen grass stretch into the distance. Somewhere beyond sight, animals are already moving. There are no schedules written down, but the day is not empty. Hunger, weather, children, tools, and fire create the rhythm. We often imagine ancient humans spending all day hunting giant beasts. But that is one of the biggest misunderstandings. Most of life was not dramatic. It was repeated, careful, ordinary work that kept the group from falling apart. Someone checks the fire. Someone watches the children. Someone studies the ground. Someone remembers where food was found last season. This was not laziness, and it was not chaos. It was a different kind of day, organized by survival instead of clocks. To understand it, we must begin at the coldest moment. The first few minutes after waking. Before breakfast, before conversation, before any plan, the group must answer one quiet question. Did the fire survive the night? Fire is not just warmth. It is light, protection, cooked food, dry hides, and the emotional center of the camp. If the embers are still alive under ash, the morning begins with relief. If not, the whole day becomes harder. One person gently opens the ash, searching for a red glow, small enough to disappear, but important enough to save everyone. Dry grass, bark, and tiny sticks are added carefully. Too fast, and the ember dies. Too slow, and the cold wins. Children watch from behind sleepy eyes, learning without a classroom that survival often begins with patience, not strength. Then comes the shelter check. Has snow drifted into the cave mouth? Did wind tear the hide screen overnight? A small gap can matter. Cold air does not need a door. It slips through cracks and steals body heat silently. Someone tightens a hide. Someone moves stones near the fire. Someone pulls sleeping skins away from damp ground. None of this looks heroic, but these small chores are the reason the group made it through the night. Modern people may think of chores as boring. In the Ice Age, chores were not about tidiness. They were about not dying. The camp itself is a living machine. Fire, hides, stones, tools, bodies, memory, and constant attention working together. Even the location matters. Too exposed, and wind punishes them. Too deep in the cave, and darkness may hide other dangers. A normal morning is already full of decisions, and the sun has barely touched the frozen edge of the world. Once warmth returns, the next pressure rises from every stomach in the group. Food. Ice Age humans did not eat because a clock said breakfast. They ate when cold land, moving animals, and hidden plants allowed them to eat. Food was the true schedule. It pulled people from camp, shaped their routes, and decided whether they stayed another day or moved on. Some days began with tracking animals across frozen ground. Other days began by searching for roots, eggs, berries, or hidden calories under snow. Big hunts were dangerous and uncertain. A mammoth looks impressive in our imagination, but hunting one was never casual, simple, or guaranteed. Much survival came from smaller choices, where birds nested, where water still flowed, where edible plants waited quietly beneath the winter ground. The group had to remember seasons, paths, animal habits, old camps, and places where hunger had once been solved. This memory did not live in a phone. It lived in elders, hunters, gatherers, stories, and shared experience around the fire. A child might follow adults and learn which tracks meant opportunity, which meant danger, and which should be ignored for now. Every footprint was information. Every broken branch was a message. Every silence in the landscape could mean something important was changing. Archaeologists often find stone tools, animal bones, and cut marks that suggest how ancient people processed food carefully. But evidence also reminds us to be humble. Ice Age life was not one simple routine repeated everywhere. Different groups lived in different climates, followed different animals, and used different strategies depending on land, season, hunger, and risk. What they shared was pressure. Hunger did not wait politely. It changed moods, decisions, relationships, and risk. When food was found, it was rarely just personal success. It was information the whole group needed. And once food entered the camp, another part of the day began. Preparing, dividing, and making tools useful again. To us, a tool is something stored in a drawer. To Ice Age humans, tools were survival held in the hand. A sharp stone edge could cut meat, scrape hide, shape wood, open bone, or turn one animal into many chances. Making tools took attention. One wrong strike could waste good stone. One good flake could change the whole day. Around the fire, hands worked constantly. They chipped stone, repaired handles, twisted fiber, checked spear points, and shaped useful edges. This was not factory work. It was memory, skill, sound, and rhythm passed from one person to another. Children learned by watching the angle of a strike, the patience of a hand, the face someone made after failure. Clothing also needed endless care. In freezing environments, a torn hide was not fashion damage, it was a leak in survival. Scraping hides, softening skins, tying cords, and repairing coverings may have filled more hours than imagination usually allows. A small bone needle or sharp awl could matter more than a dramatic weapon, because warmth kept people moving. We often celebrate the spear, but the quiet repair of clothing may have saved just as many lives. The tribe's technology was not separate from daily life. It was daily life, repeated in hands, smoke, and concentration. Every object had a story. Who made it, who broke it, who fixed it, and who would need it next. Modern people throw away broken things quickly. Ancient people often had to repair, reuse, adapt, and remember. That is why a normal afternoon might look boring from far away, but from inside the camp, it was intelligence in motion. And while adults worked with tools and hides, the youngest humans were learning how to become survivors. Ice Age children did not sit in classrooms, but that never meant they were not learning. Their lessons quietly filled almost every hour of the day. They learned by carrying sticks, touching stones, following footprints, copying adults, asking questions, and making dangerous mistakes near watchful eyes. A child's play could be training. Throwing, hiding, balancing, digging, and pretending all built skills for a harder world. The camp was the school. The land was the textbook. Every adult could become a teacher, whether they planned to or not. Elders mattered because memory mattered. They carried maps no one had drawn, and warnings no child had lived long enough to learn. An elder might remember where animals crossed during deep winter, where ice broke early, or which valley once brought sickness. In a world without writing, stories were not just entertainment. They stored danger, food, weather, rules, and belonging. A tale about a foolish child near a river might actually be a lesson about thin ice, hidden currents, and distance. A story about glowing eyes beyond the fire might teach children not to wander past the warm circle alone. Modern school separates learning from life. In an Ice Age camp, learning happened while eating, walking, repairing, watching, and surviving. No one needed to say, "This will be useful later." Later was always close, and mistakes could arrive before sunset. The group also had to care for weaker members. A sick child or injured adult could change the rhythm of everyone's day. Compassion was not soft decoration. In small groups, caring for others helped preserve knowledge, trust, cooperation, and future survival. The Ice Age day was therefore social from beginning to end. No person survived as a separate island for long. But even a careful group could not remove danger, because danger was woven into the ordinary routine. The most dangerous moments were not always giant attacks. Sometimes danger began as a small problem nobody noticed quickly enough. A child walks too far from the fire. A tool edge snaps. A foot slips on frozen ground. A minor wound today might be inconvenient. Back then, infection, cold, and distance could turn minor into serious. The group had to watch everything. Weather changes, animal tracks, smoke direction, strange sounds, and the mood of hungry people. Predators were part of the landscape, but fear did not need a visible predator to become useful. Fear sharpened listening. It made people look twice at shadows, remember bad places, and keep children close. A distant shape on the ridge might be an animal, another group, or nothing at all. Uncertainty was exhausting. This is one reason ancient life required cooperation. One pair of eyes could miss something. Many eyes made survival more likely. The firekeeper watched embers. The hunter watched tracks. The gatherer watched plants. The elder watched patterns. Even silence had meaning. If birds stopped calling, if wolves moved strangely, if winds shifted, the group paid attention. We call this anxiety when it follows us into modern rooms. But in that world, constant attention had a purpose. The Ice Age did not reward people who ignored small signs. It rewarded those who connected tiny clues before trouble arrived. This does not mean everyone lived in panic. It means ordinary calm was built on many small acts of awareness. By late day, the group had gathered food, repaired tools, watched danger, taught children, and guarded the fragile camp. Then the sun lowered, and another kind of day began. The human world after dark. For us, night often means entertainment, screens, or sleep. For Ice Age humans, night was a border between safety and everything unknown. On one side was the fire. Faces, warmth, food, stories, tools, children, and the feeling of being together. On the other side was darkness. Cold air, hidden movement, unknown sounds, and distances the eye could not measure. People did not simply fall asleep when the sun disappeared. Some repaired tools, some cooked, some listened, some watched. Night may have been when stories became most powerful, because firelight turns every face into a memory. A storyteller could make the group laugh, warn children, honor the dead, or explain why a place should be avoided. Around the fire, information became emotion. A warning was easier to remember when it came wrapped inside a story. Food was divided, not just to fill stomachs, but to keep trust alive between people who needed each other tomorrow. Someone may have stayed awake longer, feeding the fire, listening beyond the cave mouth, protecting the sleep of others. That quiet watcher is easy to overlook, but the group's rest depended on someone choosing not to rest yet. We still understand this feeling. A parent awake at night, a friend keeping watch, a nurse checking someone's breathing. Safety has always depended on small sacrifices that do not look dramatic from the outside. Above the camp, stars move slowly. Without clocks, humans still read time through light, cold, hunger, and memory. The day ends not because numbers say so, but because bodies grow tired, and the fire becomes the center again. And now we can return to ourselves, because this ancient day explains something strange about modern life. Today, many people are busy all day and still wonder why the day feels strangely empty. We answer messages, attend meetings, scroll feeds, complete tasks, and move information that our bodies cannot touch. Ice Age humans were tired for different reasons. Their work was visible, shared, physical, and tied directly to survival. Add wood, and the fire lasts. Repair hide, and a child stays warm. Share food, and trust survives. This does not mean ancient life was better. It was colder, harsher, more dangerous, and often painfully uncertain. But it may explain why modern comfort does not always create meaning. Our brains were shaped for action and consequence. We evolved in days where movement mattered, attention mattered, people mattered, and the group could see what each person gave. No job title was needed for someone who kept the fire alive. No clock was needed for hunger to speak. No phone was needed for belonging, because belonging was visible in the circle of bodies around the flame. So what did Ice Age humans do all day? They kept the world from falling apart in small, repeated ways. They warmed the camp, found food, repaired tools, taught children, watched danger, told stories, and remembered what the land had taught them. Their days were not simple. They were dense with meaning, because almost every action touched another life. Maybe that is what our modern days often miss. Not activity, not comfort, but the feeling that our actions are connected. Picture them now. A tiny tribe around a small fire, snow outside, darkness beyond, tools resting beside tired hands. No jobs, no clocks, no phones, just people, memory, danger, warmth, and one more human day completed together.